Hello everyone, this is Simon, your host for the Modern Awakened Perspective, your map for the path to enlightenment. And today I've got a couple stories for you. One of them is an update here on Nathan Phillips, the wannabe Vietnam veteran. And let me go ahead and get into that story because this is going to be the third update basically, or third story I've done on him and the confrontation between him and the Covington Catholic students with their Make America Great Again hats that was widely publicized but was mostly fake news. So let me get into what my update is for today. Okay, so it turns out that Nathan Phillips was actually never deployed to Vietnam. He lied about being involved in recon, but he was actually in the Marines, and that's an Army position. So he was unaware of that, and kind of goes to show that he didn't really know what he was talking about. He was actually an electrician / mechanic, and he was stationed in Southern California. And I think he was there between 72 and 76, a little less than a 4-year time that he spent there in the Marines, and he actually never was deployed to Vietnam at all. So he lied about his service to raise money for a documentary also, so he was trying to profit off of the lie about his service. And it turns out that one of the kids from the Covington Catholic School has a grandfather who is Native American and is a Vietnam veteran. So, ironically, they chose the wrong people to go after an attack because the lie just came out and slapped them in the face even harder, because what Nathan Phillips was claiming to be is actually who he was, the people he was going up against was actually related to someone exactly like that. So I think they call that stolen valor when he's lying about his service. That's a term I ran across in my research. So in other words, the fake news couldn't have been any faker and couldn't have shot themselves in the foot any harder. So another twist to this story is Mr. Phillips told reporters at a newspaper called the Toledo Blade in a 2007 interview that he served in the Vietnam War from 72 to 76. But the last troops pulled out of Vietnam on March 29th, 1973. And he didn't even know that. So that shows that he clearly was never deployed to Vietnam. And this whole story was just made up and blown out of proportion. For what reason? Well, obviously to make people who support Trump and the Make America Great Again movement look bad. So it surprises me that this story gained the traction that it did because of Mr. Phillips' lack of credibility. It seems he's done, lied about this before on multiple occasions and led protests in front of the Trump Tower, and once also accused a group of fraternity brothers, I think it was, with doing something very similar. And how he got as far as he did with this story, it goes to show that the journalists don't deserve their position either. Either that, or they were purposely trying to push this propaganda to make Trump's followers look bad. So good thing that the people here do a better job than the reporters do, because the story actually came out and there's the video showing that what actually had happened and what actually went on. So that's my update for that. The next story is called No Press Briefings, and this is basically what it sounds like. After so much fake news, most recently the story I've just been talking about with Nathan Phillips versus the Make America Great Kentucky students, President Trump has decided that it's a waste of time to hold press briefings and to let Press Secretary Sarah Sanders give the briefings. He said that the reporters not only don't cover stories accurately, but they're rude when Sarah Sanders does get up to the podium. So she's already been giving less briefings than other people who are previously in her position, so you can expect to see even less than there has been. And I don't blame her. Who would want to deal with that? You know, with the rude journalists, especially when they're not even portraying the stories accurately. So that's the end of that little update there. I thought that was interesting, something worth reporting on. My next story is a fairly big story also. It's John McAfee, who was running for president in 2020, is actually moved to Venezuela, and he's going to run his presidential campaign from there. So he's the McAfee software founder, if you weren't familiar with him. He's quite a controversial figure. He's running, I think, wants to be on the Libertarian Party, use their platform, and so he left because the IRS is after him. I think they convened a grand jury in Tennessee to come after him for using cryptocurrencies and to attack the U.S. government. Something like that. It's something ridiculous, which obviously is inaccurate. They're really coming after him because he came out a couple weeks ago and said that he hadn't paid taxes for 8 years. And he said that, you know, obviously wanting to get the attention of the IRS because he wanted them to come after him. He says because he wants to expose them for you know, the frauds that they are and the bully tactics that they use. Now, like I said, the IRS did take notice once he put that story out there, and they wanted to make an example of him. He wanted to showcase their tactics. And now, in the past, I've heard myself that there was no statute that said, you know, you had to pay an income tax. And so I did some research because I found that, you know, pretty crazy. I'm like, well, why is it known that everyone does and should, and they put people in jail if they don't, if there's actually no statute or nowhere in the Constitution that says that, you know, you're supposed to do that. So after doing so, I couldn't find the statute myself that said that you're supposed to do that. And so I just was pretty confused. And it was like, how shady is the IRS? And, you know, who's controlling all of this stuff? And where's the money going? And why do they have the right to collect it? So during my research on that, I found several videos of people who used to work for the IRS who found out that they didn't have the right to collect the income tax as it's so written, and that they questioned their higher-ups and couldn't get a straight answer, and so they ended up quitting and making videos explaining that there actually is no statute that says they have the right to collect an income tax. So I know this is going to be a controversial story as it moves on, and I'm sure people have their own opinions on this, some for it, some against. So if you know what statute it is that says that we're required to pay it, please let me know. I'd like to dig deeper into this and educate myself further on this subject. Also, if you feel you know, that they don't have the right, I want you to comment also. Anyone feel free to comment, negative or positive, on anything I say. Also, please subscribe and like these videos if you like the content that I provide. I'm trying to get this channel out there so more people can find it, and that's how YouTube is able to you know, recommend it for other people to see. So with your help, we can get this message out there for more people to see. All right, thank you. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.